Canada freezes funds that are intended for the trucker convoy because this has been deemed a criminal act, and the left tells us that they have the jurisdiction to do so. Unfortunately, the left is right at this time, but we don't say that very often on this channel, so that might be a secret. But we will talk about what's going on with that. In other news, wow, we've got a lot of stuff over here. A CNN poll comes out and says that most of Biden's detractors say that he's done nothing they like since he came into office. Well, that's weird. Yes, of course. The people that don't like Biden don't like him enacting his agenda. So we'll talk just a bit about what's going on with that. Beto O'Rourke comes out and says that now he's not interested in taking anything. I'm sure that's focus group tested, so we'll talk just a bit about what's going on with that. And Democrats burn a Confederate flag in an upcoming campaign ad, also citing the fact that the Confederacy is alive and well in the South. And given the fact that Beto O'Rourke and Nikki Fried think they can become governors and John Ossoff is in the Senate, I think they're right. The Confederacy is alive and well in the South. It is going to be all this and more. You're just mad you can't date me. I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Good morning, Edheads. Welcome to Contemporary. My name is Jay Edgar. We have got a show to get to today. We've got a lot of stuff to go over. And, of course, last but not least, at the end of the show, we have got live chat to talk about here because I have recorded the names in the permanent record of everybody who chatted in the live chat throughout the week here. Not because I want to say anything bad about them, not because I want any of their information to get out, but because I want to say thank you. So come back out here. Make sure you're here for the end of the show when I say a special thank you to all the people who are on this list right here, individually, per person. And we'll also go through some of the live chat today. So if you are just lurking, get some messages in. Become a part of the show. It'll be at the bottom of the show, which means it'll be probably a little bit after 9, especially looking at how stacked up the stack of news is for the week here, or for the day, I should say. So come on in here, get some live chat in here. Make sure you're live chatting consistently throughout the show, too, because if you're just chatting at the beginning, some of it might get swallowed up by Restream's programming. So, absolutely, get in here. Let's hear what you have to say. Let's make this about you guys, but we got to get through the news first. And there's plenty of it. As you can see, we're over 40 tabs across the top again. So let's get right into it. But before we do, make sure you guys head over, check out turnsofpagesproductions.com. Turns of Pages Productions will be your new place, your new one-stop shop for all of your news and commentary needs. We are officially, and yes, I do need to still sit back and figure out how to get everything all set up and how to get everything ready to go, because they're talking about individual versus business, and I got to make sure that I do that right. Otherwise, federal government's going to give me one of these. So I'm going to sit down, I'm going to figure that out over this weekend here. But especially given the news today, we are definitely going to be using GiveSendGo because they deserve our business. And even if they take a little bit more than GoFundMe does, they deserve it for what they did, what they said, and even if they are wrong, what they did and what they said, they deserve our business. So let's definitely go in, check out GiveSendGo. That's what you want to do. I mean, that's what we're going to do for the next upcoming charity is going to be GiveSendGo. The Turns of Pages Productions, the startup cost for that's going to be GiveSendGo. So definitely go and check that out. That's going to be a better time here. Go check out Turns of Pages. Go check out Daily Ignoramus, Breakdown with Birkenhoff, Alrighty Conservative, the new upcoming program that is going to feature Britt and Sean Hickman. and The Porch Boy. So go check out all those shows. They're all great friends. They're all wonderful people. They all rock. So definitely go back and check all of them out. And once the webpage is up, we will have a new place where we can pull all of their episodes in. You can find them all in one place. You can find new ways for people to come in and write articles. So definitely go and check that out. TurnsOfPagesProductions.com. Let's get in. Let's check out the Dow. The Dow was the Dow dropped yesterday, throughout the day yesterday, dropping down to 35,241.59. That's not a huge drop, but still something to take notice of, as people are starting to take notice of both the unemployment numbers, which were conveniently buried by the mainstream media, and the inflation numbers, which really can't be buried by the mainstream media because they got so much of it out there right away. So we will see what's happening with that, of course. Stupid me. Sat out there where we couldn't come back and see what it used to be before, but yeah, I mean, it's looking like everything is starting to fall down on this again. We will see what happens with that and where that goes. Your Bitcoin, let's get a refresh on that quick. Over the last 24-hour period, your Bitcoin is at $43,780 and 90 US cents. That is up $253 and 20 US cents, about 0.5%, which means, hey, you're winning if you're on Bitcoin here. And remember, you're always winning with Bitcoin because our Lord and Savior, Joe Jorgensen, said that's the only way to be in a libertarian society is to use the Bitcoin. Trust us, use the Bitcoin. This is not official financial advice. This is a troll and a mock of the former Libertarian Party candidate. Please do not take anything off of this program as official financial advice and consult your financial advisor. So that's what we see coming up off the Bitcoin. Looking in at your hard assets, another day of all of your hard recyclables, your industrial metals being up all across the board. Looking in at the individual plays, there's a lot of green on here, which tells me that a lot of factories, both in this country and abroad, are getting ready to go start up and going full swing if they can find the personnel for it. All copper plays are in the green. All steel and iron plays are in the green.
Good.
All aluminum plays are in the green. Some of your individuals are a little bit more mixed here. Electric motors are down. Ballasts are up. Lead is down. Car and truck batteries are down. Catalytic converters. 4 are up. Small foreign cat, large foreign cat, regular domestic, and small GM. Those are all up. Large GM cat is down. Compressors are up. Alternators are down. Carbide is up. PC plays, hard drives are down. Motherboards are up. Power supplies are down. Low-grade boards are down. And PC tower is down. So that's what we see coming up off of the metals. So, I mean, if you got some metals, now would be probably the time to go and look up your local recycling center and see what their actual local prices are, because these will vary across the country. These are national averages. But go see what your local scrap prices are and see what you have to bring in and see what you can get back up off of that. So we will see what happens with that. Let's grab one from IBD and see what they have to say for the day. Hey, you can get 2 months of IBD for only $14. That's a sweet pair. Well, let's see what they actually have to say here. Dow Jones futures extend losses after stock market sell-off as Treasury yields retreat, which is good because they cracked 2% yesterday. It was late in the day they cracked that, but this is from Scott Latonin. Dow Jones futures continued lower Friday morning after a fever pitch inflation data and surging Treasury yields triggered on a sell-off on Thursday. Cloudflare and Monolithic Power Systems climbed after reporting strong earnings results late Thursday. Among the Dow Jones leaders, Apple inched lower pre-market Friday, while Microsoft traded flat in today's stock market. American Express, a Dow stock to watch, is in buy range after this week's breakout. Electric vehicle leader Tesla inched higher pre-market Friday, looking to rebound from Thursday's sharp losses. Amid a volatile stock market rally, BHP Group, Blackstone, Palo Alto Networks, and Stifel Financial are among today's top stocks to buy and watch. All 4 are in or near buy zones. Microsoft, Stifel, and Tesla are IBD leaderboard stocks. Amex, it was featured in this week's Stocks Near Buy Zone column. Blackstone is an IBD swing trader stock. Palo Alto Networks was also IBD's Thursday stock of the day. Let's look at the Treasury yield, because that was big news late last night. Ahead of the stock market open, Dow futures declined 0.2% versus fair value, while S&P 500 futures moved down 0.25%. NASDAQ futures also dropped 0.2%. In early morning trade, among exchange-traded funds, the NASDAQ Invesco QQQ Trust moved down 0.1%, and the SPDR S&P 500 ETF edged lower before Friday's open. This is the fun part here. The 10-year Treasury yield ticked down near 2% Friday morning. On Thursday, the 10-year Treasury yield surged above 2% for the first time since mid-2019, closing at 2.03%. Treasury yields continue to climb on expectations that the Federal Reserve will start to raise interest rates to combat pervasively high inflation. Meanwhile, Chevron topped the Dow, and oil stocks packed at the top of the S&P 500 as U.S. oil prices gained about 1.5%, which means that your gas prices are going to go up again. West Texas Intermediate crude moved back about $91 a barrel, but remained on track for its first weekly decline since mid-December. WTI briefly topped $93 a barrel last week. So that's what we see coming back up off of here. And now that the coronavirus stuff is going away, and I usually don't go back down off of this one this far into this because we just see what the futures are and move on to the next one. But I always notice what's here. And for over a year, it was always coronavirus news. Coronavirus news is the only thing that we have to talk about here. And what is it now? Every day. It's the same thing every day. The stock market rally. They're trying to sell you the fact that Biden is going to make this rally. So just please keep buying. Investors Business Daily, I like to use them because they're somewhat objective in their reporting, but they're still propaganda. So we'll see what happens with that. Let's grab one from Seeking Alpha, and then we will get into the main news of the day. NASDAQ, S&P 500, and Dow slump as Fed's bullard backs big rate hikes. Big rate hikes. This is from Kim Khan. Gotta love those big rate hikes. No, actually I don't, because they are going to make mortgaging harder in the upcoming months. The stock market ended sharply lower on Thursday amid fears of rising interest rates. The latest read on consumer inflation showed a 40-year high, and a key member of the Federal Reserve signaled that the central bank might take aggressive action as a result, sparking nearly 2% slide in the S&P 500. It was a choppy day, with stocks selling off early after hot inflation data before fighting their way back into positive territory. However, they took another downward turn late in the session after St. Louis Fed President James Bullard said that he's looking for the Fed fund rates to hit 1% in July, suggesting an accelerated rate hiking campaign. The major averages each closed in negative territory, with the S&P 500, Dow, and NASDAQ. S&P down 1.8%, Dow down 1.4%, and NASDAQ down 2.1%. Rates moved higher, with the 10-year Treasury yield topping 2% for the first time since August of 2019. Bullard-backed half-point rate hike in the first half of the year, and Fed swaps are now pricing 75% chance of a 50 basis point increase in March, and the Fed funds hitting 1% in 3 meetings. All S&P 500 sectors concluded in the red, with materials finally giving up its gains. Energy was among the least weak sectors. Real estate and IT slumped the most. Headline CPI name at the annual rate of 7.5% for January, topping forecast for 7.3%. The core CPI was also hot at 6%, ahead of expectations for 5.9%. And we will be talking about that a little bit later on, because they're going to try to explain to us why it was worse than economists had forecasted. But that's what we see coming back up off of this. Let's get into the big news of the day, and we are going to talk trucks. I got a lot of Twitter stuff up at the top of the show here, so hopefully this will go somewhat quickly here. But let's get into it. Let's see. First, second, because this isn't what I wanted to start with. This is where I want that to be. All right, on-air production. All right, starting here with the Ambassador Bridge, here in Windsor, Canada. Trucker protests have shut down access to the Ambassador Bridge. They don't want COVID mandates and say they will stay until change is made. Let's have a look and a listen.
In Windsor, this is the entrance to the bridge. Obviously, no trucks. In fact, nothing is going over the bridge right now because of the truckers' protest here and supporters. There's quite a few of them. I even seen a couple of American flags as well. But here they say leaders don't hide. Typical theme here. But this is in the midst of where the protesters are kind of staging early this morning. And McDonald's, very popular over the bridge. Well, that's closed down because of the truckers, but hey, they've been here for, for a long time. How long you guys been here? A long time. How long have you guys been here? Couple days, right? 3 days. Beautiful. Monday. In Windsor, this is the entrance to the...
So, and I did want to talk about just a little bit of this video too before we, go on to the next one here, but they have it all blocked, obviously, and you see the International sitting over there with the Canadian flag over it, the other tractor trailer whose make I didn't see up at the front. But over there, to our right, which would be the left when you go look at the vehicle, there is an expedition with a camper behind it just sitting there blocking off the Windsor Bridge too. It's not just the truckers that are pissed at this point. They were the ones that came back and inspired. They were the ones that started this all going up. But the citizenry is pissed. They're just as mad at this as everybody else is at this point, and they're bringing their vehicles out too. It's not just the truckers anymore. As much as Trudeau and the Conservative government in Canada, we'll talk about that in a bit, but as much as these people are coming out and trying to tell you it's just truckers, and it's just a small fringe minority of the truckers too, it's not. It's not. If it was just a small minority of the truckers, that Explorer would not be there. Or Expedition, I believe that is. That wouldn't be there, and you know it as well as I do. Let's move on. A little bit over into the west. Signs in Emerson, Manitoba that read border crossing closed until mandates are lifted. The honk honk will continue until tyranny improves. Prepare to stop. Border crossing. Closed until mandates are lifted. And just a reminder, by the way, that is not, unless this is some really, really talented hacker that's coming out here and doing this. That is not the private citizens, the truckers coming out and saying, hey, we're closing down the border because we don't like what you do. If the Canadian Department of Transportation is anything like the U.S. Department of Transportation, that is provincially controlled. Manitoba is the one, like the Manitoba government is the one who made that sign. Fang Fang is trending. Let's pour one out for Eric Swalwell. Fang Fang is trending. But it's just because that access to signs like that, that's provincial government. At least that's how it is here, state government. The state of Wisconsin does those signs. So are the western provinces actually starting to get ready to push back against Trudeau? I'd like to think so. And we'll talk a little bit more. We talked yesterday about the fact that Alberta is getting ready to come back and lift stuff, and some of the cities are trying to put stuff back in, and their governments are saying no. But the western provinces are kind of based adjacent, I might say. They're still Canadian. They still have a lot of stuff, but they don't like what goes on in Ottawa any more than people like us like what goes on in DC. So. And that's a little bit of a collective opinion too, so we'll see what happens with that. Whitmer got into this here, going back talking about the Windsor Bridge. My message is simple: reopen traffic on the bridge. With a screenshot. Governor Whitmer calls on Canada to reopen traffic on the Ambassador Bridge. Governor urges authorities to resolve bridge blockade so manufacturing, agriculture in Midwest can continue humming along. Well, I don't know how many of you guys are in the Midwest right now. But today is the warm day. It's set to be 42 degrees out today. But as of right now, it's 24 where I live. Agriculture ain't buzzing along right now, Gretchen Whitmer. I'd hope you have the sense to get this fixed before agriculture starts buzzing along. I'd say I hope, because I don't know, but I'd hope. Governor Whitmer issued the following statement, urging Canadian authorities to quickly resolve the ongoing Ambassador Bridge closure and impacts on the Michigan economy, including key sectors like autos, agriculture, manufacturing, and more. My message is simple: reopen traffic on the bridge. In Michigan, our economy continues to grow because of our hardworking people and innovative small businesses. Now that the momentum is at risk, commercial traffic is at a standstill at the Ambassador Bridge and heavily backed up at the Blue Water Bridge. The blockade is having a significant impact on Michigan's working families who are just trying to do their jobs. Our communities and automotive, manufacturing, agricultural businesses are feeling the effects. It's hitting paychecks and productions. That is unacceptable. The Ambassador Bridge is the busiest land border crossing in North America, used by tens of thousands of commuters and truck drivers carrying hundreds of millions of dollars of goods. Every day, countless Michiganders rely on this daily flow of goods and people to get things done. It is imperative that the Canadian local, provincial, and national governments de-escalate the economic blockade. They must take all necessary and appropriate steps to immediately safely reopen traffic so we can continue growing our economy, support good-paying jobs, and lowering costs for family. Gee, it's funny. Gretchen Whitmer is concerned about the blockade of traffic and commerce in Michigan. The inability of Michiganders to go and buy goods and services when they want, where they want. Well, that's funny. I seem to recall a certain governor who was a hopeful for either a vice presidential slot or the presidency herself, who decided that the most important thing to do was to go out and to block you from being able to go into other parts of the store, making sure you could only visit the food section of the big box store and the pharmacy and nothing else. I wonder who that could be. Any ideas? Anybody? Who would do a thing like that? I actually quote tweeted that up. I'm sure it's not going to come back up at the top. Yeah. It didn't come up at the top. Of course they don't, because they don't want that kind of information getting up there. But somebody did reply to it at some point and said, careful, they might stage another kidnapping attempt to let you know that she's serious. Let's keep going. The Conservatives, and this is like we said earlier, Conservatives are now telling Ottawa protesters to go home. Thank you, Spartan, for leaving a video of this in the Discord. But of course, we're not going to do the full video off of this. We'll take the Toronto Star article instead from Stephanie Levitz. Interim Conservative leader Candice Bergen has ended days of support for demonstrators in Ottawa and elsewhere with a direct call for them to pack up and go home. But she's pledged her party will take up the cause, a call for the end of the pink coat pox restrictions and jab mandates. Bergen made the case on the floor of the House of Commons on Thursday, on a day where the opposition gets to choose the motion to debate. The Tories' motion calls for a plan to be implemented by the government by the end of the month to lift all federal mandates and restrictions, but in making that demand of the Liberal government, she also directly addressed the crowds who've been camped outside of Parliament for nearly 2 weeks. Their protest began on behalf of truckers angry about mandatory vaccination requirements for cross-border drivers and have become an international phenomenon, Bergen said. But it's time to move out, she said. To the protesters here in Ottawa, you came bringing a message. That message has been heard, Conservatives have heard you, and we will stand up for you and all the Canadians who want to get back to normal life, But we will not stop them until the mandates have ended. Today though, I'm asking you to take down the blockades. Protest peacefully and legally, but it's time to remove the barricades and the trucks. For the sake of the economy, and because it's the right thing to do. Eh? Bergen's comments mark the latest shift in the party's overall response to the protesters, which has evolved since the Freedom Convoy went on the move last month. Initially, many Tory MPs, including former leader Aaron O'Toole, supported the demonstrators' call to remove the vaccine mandates for cross-border truckers. Bergen herself has posed for photos with demonstrators, and leaked emails suggested she didn't think the party should initially call for an end to the convoy, but needed to figure out a way to make it Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's problem. It already is. That wasn't hard. But as the motivations of the organizers were exposed, as including the overthrow of the government, oh my god, no. You're gonna try this bullshit again, aren't you? They're gonna overthrow the government! How? Exactly. Jeez. And as some elements within the larger group embrace the racist imagery, yes, the people that are with the government, as well as seemingly non-stop harassment of downtown Ottawa residents that took a court injunction to stop, the Conservative Party's certainty in supporting the movement will began to break down. I can't believe you're actually fucking buying this. The organizers are trying to overthrow the government. The organizers explicitly told the drivers, do not enter the Capitol. Do not engage in violence. Do not fight, no matter how much these people try to entice you out to a fight. The organizers are not interested in overthrowing the government. The organizers are interested in ending a tyrannical mandate. But of course, this propaganda has to come out here to tell you that this is an insurrection. Now with the demonstrators in Ottawa, nearly the 2-week mark, and copycat movements springing up, including the blockade of key roadways between Canada and the US, the Conservatives have shifted. The Liberals accused the Tories of hypocrisy and called upon them to take their call to end the blockades directly to the people on the street. They also pointed to the widespread availability of vaccines, increased availability of therapeutics, and other initiatives to help with the management of the pandemic. Hey, no! You don't have to come back out here and go without a vaccine to get across. Just take the vaccine. That's the point that we're trying to make here. If we wanted the vaccine, we'd have gone out and got the fucking thing. We don't. So you can take that vaccine and shove it up your ass. I would advise doing that after you shove it in your arm, because otherwise it won't be sanitary anymore, but you can take that vaccine and shove it up your ass. I want you to be uncomfortable, not to die of sepsis. Our approach has been and will continue to be based on the best scientific evidence available, and the lessons that we learned over the past 2 years, Health Minister Jean-Yves Duclos said during the debate. So, yeah, I mean, at this point, number one, yes, the Conservatives, the Tories believe. Oh yes, no, they're trying to overthrow the government right now, eh? They're not. Nobody's trying to overthrow a government right now. The government overstretched, the people got pissed, and they decided to tell you, no, we are not going to do this. Alright, this was fun. So first we'll watch the video, and then we'll go talk about Juliet Kayyem. Well, we'll watch the Wall Street Journal video first, rather. Footage shows trucks in gridlock on the Ambassador Bridge, a key trading link between the US and Canada. It was temporarily closed early Tuesday amid growing protests against Canada's pinko pox mandates. Let's see. I suppose they're not going to narrate this either. Trucks jam busy U.S.-Canada border bridge. Aerial footage showed trucks in gridlock on the Ambassador Bridge, as trucker-led protests against the COVID mandates clogged the roads near the crossing point between Windsor, Ontario and Detroit. The bridge remained closed late Monday and remained so early Tuesday, according to authorities in Michigan and Canada. The bridge accommodates 27% of about $400 billion in annual trade between the U.S. and Canada. Protests came in response to a recent move by the Canada and the U.S. to ban unvaccinated truckers from entering their countries.
Individuals are trying to blockade our economy, our democracy, and our fellow citizens' daily lives. It has to stop.
So, that's what they had to say here. Juliette Kayyem, who is blue-checked, of course. Shut up, you. Harvard professor, CNN analyst. Okay, she's a CNN analyst. And CEO of Grip Mobility, national security expert. Former Obama DHS. The Devil Never Sleeps, March 22. Pulitzer finalist, 3 times mom. The convoy protest, applauded by right-wing media as a freedom protest, is an economic and security issue now. The Ambassador Bridge link constitutes 28% of annual trade movement between the U.S. and Canada. Slash the tires. Empty the gas tanks. Fuel tanks. Don't put gas in those tanks. Arrest the drivers and move the trucks. Okay, a couple problems with this. First and foremost, and this woman got a lot of heat for suggesting vigilantism, and she turned around and apologized. Well, something I said earlier today suggested that I could have been suggesting vigilantism. And we can't do vigilantism. That's why we hate Texas and the law that they have down there for abortion. That is exactly what you've suggested here, is vigilantism. 100%. There's no other way to put that. Congratulations for that, but it's not about the slashing the tires, which, if you have never moved a vehicle, a large truck with slashed tires, with a flat tire somewhere, there's a reason they change those things on the side of the road. But the tow truck driver who has to move that truck is himself a trucker and a small business owner on top of it. There is no government tow truck. And as backlogged as trucks are right now, if the Canadian government went over to, like, say, the Freightliner dealer and said, hey, I need myself a semi-wrecker because we're going to have one that just says government, Canada DOT on the side. And we're going to use that to go move all the truckers around here. It's going to be a good 2 years because of the backlog on trucks before you see that wrecker. And I don't think any of the private owners of them are going to sell them to you. How exactly do you plan to do this? No, I want to hear the answer to this. How exactly do you plan to do this, to make this happen? Because it doesn't sound like you have a plan. It sounds like you're angry that people are protesting against things that you don't like instead of just protesting for things that you like. Like we saw when my hometown had several of its historic buildings burned down. So that's what we see coming off of that. Let's grab one from The Blaze. CNN analyst on trucker protests: slash the tires, empty the tanks, arrest the drivers, and move the trucks. From Carlos Garcia. A CNN analyst issued an extreme solution for the Freedom Convoy protest against vaccine mandates, and many on social media excoriated her suggestions. Juliette Kayyem said that law enforcement should slash the tires. No, she did not. She did not say law enforcement should slash the tires. She just said slash the tires. I just lost my place there for a suggestion. Or for a second. Law enforcement should slash the tires of the truck, empty the gas tanks, and arrest the drivers before moving on to more even drastic proposals. The convoy protest, applauded by the right-wing media. Let's see. We read all that already. Trust me, I will not run out of ways to make this hurt. Cancel their insurance, suspend their driver's licenses, prohibit any future... Back up. Do you have any idea how short the supply chain is right now? Do you have any idea, Juliette Kayyem? You're an analyst, so you should probably analyze this before you did that. Do you have any idea what it takes to get a Class A driver's license? Because I'm sure that you don't. I do. What do you think is going to happen when 5 or 50,000 people in your supply chain no longer have the ability to move product around? Whether you come to some agreement with them or not, what do you think is going to happen with 50,000 people? Do you think you're just going to get all those soy fucking Starbucks people to go out and drive a truck? To go through the training to understand how an air brake works? These people think that changing to a touchscreen system is hard and I don't want to do it. Prohibit any future regulatory certification of truckers. Have we learned nothing? These things fester when there are no consequences, Kayyem added in a second tweet. Many took to social media to express their disagreement with Kayyem's proposal. I didn't see the second part. Holy shit. I know a lot of responses to academics on Twitter are performative culture war posturing, but this tweet is dumb on a historical level and deserves what it's getting, replied attorney Ken White. You want to punish hardworking people that are peacefully protesting against tyrannical mandates and stand up for bodily autonomy. You're a terrible person, read another response. Slash the tires, empty the fuel to move them. I don't know if that'll work, but okay, joked another detractor. Fact check, it won't. Harvard isn't sending its best, joked commentator Carol Roth. Kayyem clarified later that she was not calling for vigilante action against the truckers. Oh, you most certainly were. You just got fucking caught. Earlier today, I tweeted something that has been used by others to suggest I was promoting vigilantism. I was not. People have the freedom to protest. Governments have the responsibility to protect public safety. That was what I intended to say. On Thursday, the Canadian government successfully obtained a court order to freeze the millions of dollars donations garnered by a Give, Send, Go campaign for truckers. Yeah, we're going to cover that in just a minute, so we'll come off of this. But before we do that, let's look at what's happening to the citizenry in Canada. Great-grandfather, 78, is handcuffed by Ottawa cops for honking his car horn in support of the Freedom Convoy. Video of the arrest, which left 4'10" elderly man bloodied and bruised, emerges after Trudeau smeared protesters as swastika wavers. So this one is a couple days old. This is by Adam Mano for the Daily Mail and the Associated Press. A 4'10" great-grandfather was handcuffed and arrested by 2 Canadian cops for honking his horn in support of the Freedom Convoy protesters in Ottawa on Sunday, a day before a judge outlawed blaring horns due to left-wing backlash against the anti-mandate protesters who have been smeared by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau as swastika wavers. A bystander filmed while 2 officers pulled over Gary Charlebois, 78, for beeping his horn. What did he do wrong? A bystander asked. None of your fucking concern, man, one officer responded. The 6-minute video shows officers shouting back and forth with furious onlookers, and Charlebois as he protests his arrest. Eventually, an officer in a blue surgical mask grabs Charlebois to restrain him and brings the vaccinated great-grandfather down to his knees. Of course, they had to go put that back into there, in the middle of the street before handcuffing him against the van. There's some of the pictures of this. I want to see if there's video of it. Yep, there it is. So we'll watch a little bit of it.
Car. What did he do wrong? Oh, they attacked another car.
Oh, they're already in process at that point.
What did he do wrong? You don't have to answer that. You don't have to answer his question, sir. You don't have to answer his question, sir.
He does have to.
No, he
You want
doesn't.
comments? Film me from the sidewalk. You want comments? Film me from the sidewalk.
Yeah.
you're too many
Yes, I know. You're abusing old men.
You swung at me.
That you're not a Canadian.
If I swung at you, it's on film, so you're fine. Drive
Because
it.
I tooted the horn.
Yeah.
You come and hit me.
Yeah, it's called
That
communism.
is why you're pulled
It's
over.
called communism.
Drive his license.
It's communism. You don't have to show anything. You didn't do anything wrong.
I know I have.
You have the right of freedom of choice. You have the right to beep your horn or whatever. Why are you doing this?
Because it's an offense.
Of
It's an
what?
offense to beep your noise.
No, it is not an offense
It
since
is.
when?
Tell me it's not. I have it written down that it is. It's actually an
So
offense.
you're
Right?
standing with your lying government? Your lying cop?
Driver's license.
He's right.
Do you know that your superior is a liar and he went on the media lying to the Canadian people? Now you're doing
Please
this?
have me fired. Have me
What's
fired.
your name and badge number?
2192 Jones.
Jones.
There. You have everything you need to have me fired.
Yeah,
for
look at what they're doing to an old man.
Okay.
That's a citizen of Canada. Don't say anything.
You attack me? You attack me? You're a fucking dude.
Hey, Ritz, stand down. Communist.
You stand with the communist fucking government.
Call your police chief. He'll back you up.
Call the police.
Call your police chief. Arrested an old man. Shame on you. Shame.
Yeah. And I mean, you see the size difference too, and you see the fact that, I mean, that was an easy target for those police officers. They're not going to stand up against the Western Province guy that stands 6'8" and is about like this across the gut and about like this across the fucking shoulders. They're not going to take that guy. They're going to go take the little 4'10" guy who was in his minivan and happened to beep his horn in support. Let's see, what else do we have today? All right. We'll go on to the Give, Send, Go stuff here. Starting with a tweet from Andrew Lawton that says, breaking, the Ontario government says it has effectively frozen all donations made to the trucker convoy through Give, Send, Go. It is now a criminal offense to have any dealing with money from donations through this platform. Here's the statement. Today, the AG brought the application to the Superior Court of Justice for an order pursuant to Section 490.8 of the Criminal Code prohibiting any person from disposing of or otherwise dealing with, in any manner whatsoever, any and all monetary donations made through the Freedom Convoy 2022 and Adopt a Trucker campaign pages on the Give, Send, Go online fundraising platform. This afternoon, the order was issued. It binds any and all parties with possession or control over all these donations. Now, Give, Send, Go, of course, had something to say about this, and we'll talk about that. Give, Send, Go fires back and says, "Know this: Canada has absolutely zero jurisdiction over how we manage our funds here at Give, Send, Go. All funds for every campaign on Give, Send, Go flow directly to the recipients of those campaigns, not least of which is the Freedom Convoy campaign." And this got botted to death. Like, I mean, if you just scroll down through here, there are a few faces. But for the most part, there are Twitter eggs and anime avatars as far as the fucking eye can see. Twitter eggs everywhere. This is just botted to death. Of people coming out and saying, "No, you can't." And, unfortunately, in this situation, they're actually correct. Because this is coming from a US-based company going into Canada, this does have to pass certain norms and certain customs, hurdles, and requirements to get back in. Not only that, but because of the way that Canada's done this, they're in a situation where it actually is they made it illegal for the banks to come back and process the transactions out. the money can be sent out there. I mean, you can go and donate on to KTZed to go back and do this, but no bank at this point in Canada is going to risk their, because Canada does have a deposit insurance like our FDIC over here, and no bank is going to risk their deposit insurance over processing transactions from KTZed. Simply put, none of the owners have enough money in their personal pockets to cover the cost of all the money that flows through the banks every day. So this actually is illegal now that they've mandated it. But, you know, you got to sit back and ask the question of why it is that the government is going to come back out and try to do this. What kind of government would try to do something like this, would make it illegal for people to help other people, especially the Canadian government? My God. I mean, that's what you always know about Canada, or what you've always known about Canada growing up. Oh, they're the friendliest people. They're the nicest people. But yes, that actually is illegal at this point. The bots are correct. Let's read a bit from the Daily Wire on the topic here. Canadian court freezes Freedom Convoy KTZed donations, from Tim Meads. Thursday evening in Ontario, Canada, court effectively froze access to monetary donations to truckers and other Canadians participating in the Freedom Convoy protest in Ottawa, Canada, and elsewhere through a government order. The Freedom Convoy, a group of more than 50,000 truckers protesting the pinko pox vaccine mandates and restrictions throughout the Canadian government, raised more than $8 million through the online crowdsourcing platform KTZed after GoFundMe kicked the group off of its platform last Friday. Now that money is in limbo, as neither truckers nor donors can gain access to it per the court order. So yeah, and I mean, you can't even get your money back. KTZed can't shut the fundraisers down and refund the money even right now because of the court order. And again, I would be willing to bet that the Canadian government is actually going to try to usurp this money on top of it. A CBC Canada confirmed the story. A statement from Premier Doug Ford's office on Thursday said AG Doug Downey brought the application for the order under 490.8 of the Criminal Code to prohibit anyone from distributing donations made through the website's Freedom Convoy 2022 and Adopt a Trucker campaign pages. Ivana Yelich, spokesperson for the Premier, said the order binds any and all parties with possession or control over these donations. The donations have not been seized by the government, merely frozen, but the seizure could be the next step, and that's where it becomes criminality, because, I mean, there are millions of dollars at play with this one. This is the section of the Criminal Code that the Ford government is using to freeze the funds. Brian Lilly of the Toronto Sun explained via Twitter. Note that they have been frozen, not seized at this point, in accordance with a ruling today by the Ontario Superior Court Justice. This decision by the Ontario government highlights why the attorney for the Freedom Convoy, Keith Wilson, recently discussed the importance of Bitcoin as another viable solution. Stay away from Bitcoin. Remember, that one glows. For the protesters in Canada and elsewhere, as pointed out by the Post-Millennial. This is what he had to say. With respect to Bitcoin, what we've witnessed, what the world has witnessed, is the power of the government to manipulate the flows of people's hard-earned dollars to advance the government's objectives and to seek the defeat of the will of individuals in their democratic processes. I've been following Bitcoin very closely. It's a decentralized platform for people to exchange their hard-earned value with someone else for theirs. Wilson continued. It bypasses the constraints and arbitrary controls of the government. This is the perfect example of why fiat currency is in trouble. The truckers in Ottawa are not the only group protesting by a semi-truck, nor are they alone in being targeted by their government. As the Daily Wire reported on Thursday, similar protests have cropped up in France, with authorities already saying they are not welcome in Paris. Well, they're not exactly welcome in Ottawa. But, and I mean, this is some of the things to go out there. And of course, now we're seeing Bitcoin rise up as being a viable alternative. I would say use a different crypto, because Bitcoin glows in the dark. But the idea is the same. Like, go back into this, look into sending out some of that Doge after you made a bunch of money off of Doge by buying it at 0.3 cents a coin and holding on to it forever and ever and ever. Send a little bit of Doge their way. Grab some Ethereum, some Litecoin. You have other options other than the ones that literally everybody talks about. But I mean, I look at something. Now, first and foremost, yes, this is Canada. People are reaching out to come back and help these people. And the Canadian government is saying no. And it was mentioned in not my Discord server, but another one that I participate in, that when you do go back out, these governments do this. It's either they want one thing, or one of three things. They want a peaceful end. They want violence. I'm sorry. If you starve them out, I'm completely misquoting that because it was really late when I found that. If you starve them out like this, if you take away their money, their ability to buy food, their ability to protest and be there and support themselves and their families while they're not running product, one of three things is going to happen. A peaceful and reasonable solution where both sides come to a compromise. A violent end to which the people push back. Or submission. And typically in any case when the government's starting to starve people out, they want one of those three things to happen. Except you can cross out the first and the last on that one very instantly and easily. They don't want, and this has been a hard part for the Canadian trucker convoy too, as they're showing up here, staying in Ottawa. But staying peaceful. You've got a couple people who have gotten into altercations, a lot of times because they've been attacked first. Or you've got other people out there who are trying to go back and deface a statue and wave a swastika that are agents for the government. But for the most part, this has just been an occupation in the streets with blaring horns and blocking off commerce, putting a strain to the supply chain, going back to the capital. Like they should have done in the Hunger Games, but they never did. The decadent capital actually feels the brunt of some of the protests. But they don't want that. They want a violent one. They want a violent thing to go back up there and say, see, right-wingers are extremists. They're violent. They need to all be forced into submission or put into prison because otherwise they're too violent to live on and they can't get the violence. And that is one of the big worries that I have too about what's possibly being talked about going from California to DC. It's not what they're going to do, and I do think that it would be effective once they started blocking off traffic. But you know there are going to be people out there, and I'm sure that there are people in the FBI, in Antifa, in the Proud Boys. Oops, oh no, they're on our side. Honk, honk. But there are people in these provocateur groups that know how to drive a truck, and they're going to go in there. And they're going to ram the truck into a building that has been conveniently emptied. And they somehow conveniently knew that that particular building was empty before they rammed the truck into it. Or burn something, or throw a Molotov. Or go into the Capitol. That's the other possibility. To go in and have Insurrection 2.0. Insurrection 2, electric, word you can't say on YouTube. And that's what they're trying to come back with to starve these people out with. They're trying to force the violence. Because they don't have the narrative right now. But we'll see what happens with that. Alright, let's look at what's happening to the west of that country. From the Calgary Herald, Calgary Council balks at possibility of local vaccine passport system. From Madeline Smith. Calgary City Council is showing little appetite for local vaccine passport systems after Alberta's restrictions exemption program abruptly ended Tuesday night. I knew a girl from Calgary. She lives in Australia now. Council's Community Development Committee heard an update on Pinko Pox Wednesday, less than 24 hours after Premier Jason Kenney rolled out the plan to lift virtually all pandemic containment measures within the next 3 weeks. One of the bigger questions marks this, for the city is how to handle municipal bylaws related to the pinko pox. Calgary's mandatory mask bylaw for public indoor spaces can stay until the council votes to remove it, but the vaccine passport bylaw was directly tied to the REP, has now been automatically rescinded. Madeline Smith says Kara's proposed amendment is Kara's proposed amendment to the amendment looking at synchronizing with Edmonton is lost 3-2. Only Walcott, Kara, and Godnick voted in favor. The 2 points in Walcott's amendment are being called separately, so 2 votes to come here. So they're trying desperately to get a municipal passport because there's no longer any will for there to be a passport on the provincial level. Questions have been swirling for days about whether the council would step in to make new proof of vaccine rules. But the city officials said Wednesday that they have the jurisdiction to do that, but the committee, with all 15 members of council participating through most of the meeting, sent a clear signal that they're not willing to make their own replacement vaccine passport. Good. Because they're starting to see that nobody wants this shit around. The Ermagerd variant wasn't as deadly as they wanted it to be. It didn't stop commerce, it didn't stop anything else. It just showed up and people were fine. For the most part. They got a body ache and a cough for a few days, and a fever for a couple days, and then they went the fuck back to work. And in Ontario, Doug Ford considering speeding up the reopening timeline, sources say, from Colin DeMello. Ontario Premier Doug Ford is set to consider new regulations this week to speed up most economic reopening timeline amid pressure from local provincial politicians. Multiple sources say the Premier personally asked for regulations to be drawn up to fast-track reopening schedules, while sources also said Cabinet could consider the new measures as early as Friday. A spokesperson for the Premier clarified that no official meeting is scheduled for this week. The spokesperson did not deny that the Premier is considering ramping up Ontario's reopening. It is unclear whether proof of vaccination or mandatory masking policies would be dropped as well. The province has yet to provide a timeframe for when those measures would come to an end. Ontario would be the latest province to speed up their COVID exit plan. The government of Alberta and Saskatchewan both announced an almost immediate end to all pinko pox measures, including masking, and called on other levels of government to follow suit. So, it's sounding like the truckers have won. Because every time they come back and turn around, with the exception of coming back and starving them out, which the Doug Ford government has tried to do, it fails. I mean, these are people who are very much usually able to just sit in the cabin of a truck and stay there forever and ever. Now, one of the questions I do have about this, and then we got to move on because we still have a bunch of stuff to get to, and there's only 20 minutes left of the show. One of the things I do question about this is they say that it's a crime for the banks to distribute funds to these people. Now, do they have access to their own funds at this point? Are their cards all going to be declined? Is that the road that we're going down with this? Because it kind of sounds like that's going to be it. And I didn't think about it when we were talking about this, but I just thought about it now. Is this just going to be what's happening with Give, Send, Go? Or, like, say, Mr. Trucker Man has $10,000 in his bank account because, well, there's typically a lot of costs that go with owning a truck. It's not just, $10,000 is just sitting there as profit and everything. He'll probably spend $9,000 of that in a month doing his regular job. But say Mr. Trucker's got 10 grand in his bank account. Can he access it right now? These are questions we need to know the answers to. And we have got to keep going. All right, some updates for those who believe the new lie coming out of the media and the White House that a safe smoking kit does not include a pipe. See the image below. An example of a safe smoking kit that has a pipe in it. Put crack in it, and it is a crack pipe. I don't quite see what pipe he's referring to. I see the needle. I see a pipette with saline. I don't see a pipe. Am I missing something here? I mean, I see a spoon, too, that they can come back out with and, you know, do the heroin in. Unless it's this, because I don't understand what that is. I can't tell what that is. But I see a ribbon for popping your veins, a needle, a cup. I don't see a pipe here. All right, what else do we have here? The Daily Edge had to weigh in on this here. Sick. Vicious Republicans claim to care about stopping drug overdose deaths. But when Biden actually does something to save lives, the hateful GOP pushes disgusting trends like crack pipe Biden. Well, you know, Daily Edge, here's the thing. I would, rather than coming back out and trying to give people more pipes that they can smoke more crack out of, I'd like to get to the bottom of their addiction and figure out why they're smoking so we can figure out a way to stop that. So they don't overdose at all instead of reduce the risk or just do it a little bit. You know? Are they depressed because they lost their job, because their job got locked down, because they wound up locked for 2 years in the house with their partner, and their partner decided that this wasn't the person that they wanted to be with after being locked in the house with them constantly? Did somebody leave them? Did one of their kids die of COVID? Let's sit back and find the actual reasons. Let's not just pump them full of more drugs. Going on here, KS law, promises made, promises kept. Tweet from the Washington Free Beacon, screenshot says Biden admin is set to fund the distribution. I did the wrong one first. Joe Biden. Here's my promise to you. If I have the honor of being elected president, I will take care of your family like I would my own. The Biden admin is set to fund the distribution of crack pipes to drug addicts as part of its plan to advance racial equity. I promise to take care of you like I take care of my own family. So have some crack pipes, man. Come on. From CNN. CNN poll, most Biden detractors say he's done nothing they like since becoming president. The people against Biden are mad that he's implementing his agenda. From Jennifer Agista and Ariel Edwards-Levy. Nearly 6 in 10 Americans disapprove of how Joe Biden is handling his presidency, with most of that group saying there's literally nothing Biden has done since taking office that they approve of. The finding from a CNN poll conducted by SSRS in January and February highlights the entrenched politics driving the nation at the start of the midterm year, with little agreement across party lines on priorities for the government or how to handle the coronavirus pandemic. The president's ratings have fallen across the board, the survey found. Just 41% approved of how he's handling his job, while 58% disapproved, a significant drop from his approval numbers in CNN polling last year. Just 36% of independents and 9% of Republicans approved, although his approval rating stood at 83% among Democrats. Bot, honk, honk. That was down from 94% late last summer. Biden also continues to have strong detractors. Then he does fervent support, or more strong detractors than he does fervent supporters. 41% of Americans disapproved strongly of his performance, versus 15% who strongly approved. Some of the shift in Biden's numbers come from a change in Americans' partisan tilt. Republicans and Democrats were about at parity in the new poll, with fewer identifying as Democrats than in other recent CNN polling. Yeah, because he sucks at what he does. He's done nothing that I like since he became president. From The Blaze. President Biden claims he's not seeking to make an ideological choice in picking a Supreme Court nominee. From Alex Nitzberg. President Biden said he's not aiming to make an ideological choice when choosing the Supreme Court nominee. Since Justice Breyer plans to retire later this year, Biden has been presented with his first opportunity to nominate someone to serve on the nation's highest court. During an interview with Lester Holt on NBC, the president said that he's seeking someone who has the same kind of capacity as Breyer. Someone who interprets the U.S. Constitution in a manner which is in line with mainstream interpretation. Let's listen.
Can I ask you where you stand right now in your nomination process for Supreme Court? What your short list looks like? Or if you want to name the nominee right here, we'd be happy to hear you.
Well, first of all, the short list are nominees who are incredibly well qualified and documented. They were the honor students. They come from the best universities. They have experience, some on the bench, some in the practice.
What's the number you're at? 4, 5, 6?
Well, what I've done is I've taken about 4 people and done the deep dive on them, meaning this thorough background checks, and to see if there's anything in the background that would make them not qualified.
Is it important that you believe they'll get a vote from the Republican side?
Well, I think whomever I think will get a vote from the Republican side for the following reason. I'm not looking to make an ideological choice here. I'm looking for someone to replace Judge Breyer with the same kind of capacity Judge Breyer had, with an open mind, who understands the Constitution, interprets it in a way that is consistent with the mainstream interpretation of the Constitution.
So, I'm not looking to make an ideological choice. I just want to replace Justice Breyer, man. Come on, man. Now, you're making an ideological choice. You know it. You made a promise, and of course, because of the way that your party views racial segregation and racial semantics, anybody who is going to be both black and a female is automatically going to be a Democrat. Because that's the way that you guys view the world. But from Politico, Biden says he has thoroughly reviewed about 4 SCOTUS candidates so far. Yeah. I don't know who it's going to be, but if it's that Jackson Brown lady, or Brown Jackson lady, and we might actually get somebody decent out of this entire thing, but she will probably have to recuse herself from all affirmative action cases. The short list of nominees, who are incredibly well qualified and documented, Biden said they were the honor students, they come from the best universities, they have the experience on the bench, some in the practice of law. The White House has confirmed that South Carolina federal judge Michelle Childs, the favorite of Rep. Jim Clyburn, is under consideration, as well as multiple other judges, Ketanji Brown section of the U.S. Court of Appeals, and California Supreme Court Justice Leandra Kruger are also names being circulated as top contenders. I think Ketanji Brown should be the one. Look, if I have to pick from somebody who has dark skin and a vagina, I think Ketanji Brown, from all the names that have been circulated in front of me, seems to have the best record, the best credentials, and would probably make the best judge out of all of them. I think she would do well in the position. But there again, because the first factors were color of skin and genitalia, the next thing we have to think about is, can she recuse herself from affirmative action cases? Because she might have to. That might be a thing. CNBC, Biden predicts Supreme Court nominee will get Republican votes. God, I hope so. I really do. What have I said from the beginning? Let this one go, Mitch. Let this one go. Vote this one through and expedite the process. Don't do an extensive investigation to try to stall this, to try to pull this out to the midterms. That's what Democrats want. They want this to go to the midterms. They want this to go 4 months of obstruction and blocking because A, then they go to the midterms and say, you're racist and you're sexist, and B, then they have a single issue to take into the midterms. One single issue that they can take in and say, put Democrats in control of the Senate, otherwise they might get a Supreme Court nominee again. They don't want this to end. They don't want this to end right now. They want this to keep going. And they want this to go through November. I promise you. I I'm actually going to skip the inflationary stuff because we'll talk. Yeah, we talked about that yesterday. We know why it's going on there. But we're also up on the clock. That's part of it. From the Daily Wire, though. I'm not interested in taking anything. Beto does a complete 180 from, hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15. From Virginia Kruta. Former Democratic presidential hopeful Beto O'Rourke has apparently done a complete 180 from at least one of his key stances on the 2020 campaign trail. During the Democratic primary, O'Rourke famously shouted from the debate stage, hell yes, I'm going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. And his passion on that specific issue was the reason that, at the rally where O'Rourke dropped out of the primary and endorsed President Biden's campaign, then candidate Biden said he'd be bringing O'Rourke on to help his administration with gun control strategy. O'Rourke doubled down, saying that he still stood by the comment as recently as November of 2021. I still hold this view, brah, O'Rourke said on CNN's State of the Union, adding, look, brah, we're in a state that has a long, proud tradition of responsible gun ownership. And most of us here in Texas, brah, do not want to see our friends, our family members, our neighbors shot up with these weapons of war. So yes, I still hold this view. And if the system won't give me what I want, I'll hack the system because I'm totally a hacker from the 90s. Congressman Lance Gooden called O'Rourke out at the time, tweeting, today Beto has stood by his pledge to confiscate guns from law-abiding citizens. How many elections does Beto have to lose until he realizes voters hate his Second Amendment agenda? I think they just figured it out. But O'Rourke, who is running for governor in his home state of Texas, appears to have changed his position in the last several months. During a campaign stop in Tyler, Texas, the former Texas congressman took a question from reporters about his stance on his guns, and he appeared to execute a complete reversal. Well, that's because he's running for a statewide race in Texas that he knows he can't win on a gun control policy. And they're going to pour untold amounts of money into this. And all that Abbott has to do, if Abbott is going to run for re-election, which it appears that he is, all that Abbott has to do is sit back and grab that clip from the presidential debate and play it over and over again. I mean, you can do that on a shoestring budget of $100, plus the advertising time for the television stations. Buy an advertising time on every single. I'll buy a lot of advertising time on every single TV station and radio station in Texas. And then just play that clip over and over again for as much as your 30-second or minute advertisement allows. From ABC 8 News, Virginia Senate passes bill to make masks optional in school. From Dean Mershani, the Virginia Senate passed a bill allowing parents to send their children to school without a mask. 3 Democrats joined the Republicans in the chamber on Wednesday to approve the measure, which effectively bans public school boards from imposing mask mandates on students. After clearing its toughest hurdle, the legislation will now move to the Republican-controlled House of Delegates, where a similar bill advanced earlier in the day. The measure expected to sail through the House and be signed by Governor Glenn Youngkin. 8 News has learned that Youngkin intends to add emergency clause to the bill once it reaches his desk so it can take effect immediately. The General Assembly would have to vote on the legislation again if the governor makes such a move. Which, of course, leaves a lot of people. I mean, they're not focusing on Virginia right now, but leaves a lot of people in a panic. Because, you know what? We can't have the control otherwise. But, I mean, in all seriousness, this leaves a lot of people in a panic because, I mean, this is happening. And now they might go and ban masks entirely. Look. As of right now, with everything that happened there, I really think that if you want to wear a mask, I think everybody would understand. And if you don't, then that's your prerogative. And that's the point that we're trying to get to. That's the point that we were at the beginning of this entire scam. Was that if you want to do it, then do it. And if you don't, then don't. I mean, the mask didn't cause any change in transmission. The Johns Hopkins study came out with that, which the timing of that is suspicious as fuck of it in and of itself. But good. Good to see. There's one out of my state here. Conservatives slam Wisconsin Democrat for saying parents concerned about education should homeschool or pay for private school. From John Rigolizzo over at the Daily Wire. A Democratic state senator from Wisconsin was blasted online for an insensitive tweet dismissing parents' concerns about their children's education. If parents want to have a say in their child's education, they should homeschool or pay for private school tuition out of their own family budget. Wisconsin State Assemblywoman Lee Snodgrass tweeted Thursday morning. She quickly deleted it, but the tweet was screenshotted and shared by a number of conservative Twitter users, including the Dan O'Donnell Show, which is the terrestrial radio show that I listen to on the way to work. Dan's kind of based adjacent. Dan tweets, Wisconsin Representative Lee Snodgrass tweeted, and then quickly deleted a powerful reminder that Democrats believe you have no say in your children's education if you send them to a public school. Snodgrass backtracked on Twitter. I deleted my tweet since it was lacking in nuance and easily misinterpreted. No, we interpreted exactly how you meant it. Trust me. She wrote, I wouldn't want anyone to think that parents do not have a role in their child's public education. I sure did. I encourage all parents to engage in voting for school board, join PTO, and meet with teachers. Really? Because you just said if parents want to have a say in their child's education, they should homeschool or pay for it out of the family budget. Never mind the taxes that they pay. To clarify, my point is that we should be fully funding our public schools and that diverting funds away from our public schools only makes it harder for parents to have the relationship we deserve with our kids, teachers, and their schools. But that's not what you said, Lee Snodgrass. I want to see where I believe she's an assemblywoman. Where does she represent? I'm curious. Appleton. District 57. So, inner city Appleton up by Green Bay. And the manufacturing district. I'm sure the union workers in Appleton love you. I was expecting to say that for her district to be West Madison. I really was. But, yeah, she has indeed backed off on this now. So, yeah, good on that. Because, I mean, that's the argument right now that we keep getting. And there was a Channel 3000 article that basically said the same thing the Daily Wire article did. So we're going to skip that one, too. Because we are on the line, and we've got to start doing live chat here in just a second. So, I got a couple more I'm going to do. I'm going to go up to this Blaze article here. And then we'll save the rest of this for Monday. But I want to get these four really quick here from the New York Post. Starbucks fires Memphis workers who tried to form a union. From Ariel Zilber, Zilber, that's what it is. Starbucks fired 7 workers at one of its Memphis locations who said they were trying to form a union. The Seattle-based coffee chain denies allegations that the workers were dismissed in retaliation for their unionization drive. The company said the workers violated company safety and security policies by conducting media interviews on the store's premises. The Starbucks spokesperson said that the photos were posted to Twitter showed employees inside the store being interviewed by members of the press while the workers were not wearing masks. The interviews with local television station WMC TV were also held after hours, according to Starbucks. This is a clear policy violation, not to mention the lack of masks, the company spokesperson Reggie Borges told the Washington Post. Our safety and security policies are in place to protect partners and protect our customers and the communities we serve, he said. So, it appears that these employees were getting ready to come back and try to start a union. And they got down and they did an interview with the masks off because it was probably one of the only ways for them to be heard on the interview. And Starbucks said, oh, they're conducting an interview with the press about us? I believe that's, and a lot of companies do have a rider. I don't know if Starbucks has it in their rider in their employee handbook or not, but I know a lot of companies do, where you're not allowed to talk to the press about the company directly. A lot of companies have that rider in place. It can only go through a specified designated spokesperson of the company who is specifically trained to go talk to the media. So they're out there, they're talking to the media, which may or may not be against their company handbook policy. And they're out without masks. Plus, they're also talking about unionization. Oh, well, let's just get rid of the problem before the problem starts up again. And again, I'm not against unionization. I think that it's fine if people want to pool some money together and go and hire a lawyer to go back and talk about and build a contract with them and their employer. That's between them and their employer, and if everybody can agree, that's the free market at work, baby. I am against the corporate unions where membership is compulsory in order to work at the company. You have to be a member. And those big corporate unions are generally pulling a lot of donations in. They're pulling a lot of money in from their workers and then going back and donating it to the DNC, which I'm against. And then they also come back and show up in a brand new Corvette at the work site and tell you about the quarter raise that they just got you. From KHOU 11. Abortions in Texas fell 60% in the first month under new restrictions. From the Associated Press. Texas, USA, abortions in Texas fell about 60% in the first month under the most restrictive abortion law in the U.S. in decades. According to new figures, for that first time reveal a full accounting of the immediate impact. The nearly 2,200 abortions reported by Texas providers in September came after the new law took effect that bans abortion procedure once cardiac activity is detected, usually around 6 weeks of pregnancy and without exceptions in cases of rape or incest. The figures were released this month by the Texas Health and Human Services Commission. In August, there had been more than 5,400 abortions statewide. State health officials said more data will be released on a monthly basis. Now, and of course, there are a lot of detractors out there and a lot of people that come out and point out the obvious. Yes, that is 60% drop in legal abortions. Well, actually, technically, under their law, it would be 100% drop in legal abortions, but I digress. Now, there are a few other things to come back and think about with this. Are they going out to somewhere in the black market and getting it done off the back? Which some of them probably are. It happens. I mean, I don't like the government getting involved in this. I would rather societally try to change the narrative that getting an abortion is okay. I really don't want the government involved in it because, well, I mean, you guys know how I feel about the federal government, or the state government, or the local government, or the county government, or the homeowners association. Well, you guys kind of have figured out how I feel about authority. But with this, I mean, do we go back and see, did they go up in Oklahoma? That's a question to ask. Or New Mexico? Did they go up in those places? Did they go up in, I don't know. I don't know my southern geography as well as I should. Not off memory, anyway. Yeah, I mean, look at Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, New Mexico. Did they go up in those places? That's going to be a question to actually ask. Did they go up in those places or not? But as far, I mean, that'll be the question as to how many babies were actually saved. But we'll see what happens with that and where that goes. From the New York Post. California sues Elon Musk's Tesla for operating racially segregated workplaces. And by the way, we'll be reading live chat pretty soon. So if you got something to say about the trucker protest, which we spent the majority of the show on, or Biden's failing approval numbers, or the inflationary numbers, or anything else at this point, or the Texas abortion law, or the Supreme Court justice, or anything else we've talked about today, or anything else you want to talk about, as soon as we're here, I know we're going to be running up on the clock, but that time is going to be yours. Let's finish out with these 2 articles. But get those last-minute messages into the chat, and remember, if they're sufficiently bigoted or stupid or spicy, they will raise the intellectual level of this program, and of course will have to be read on the air. California sues Elon Musk's Tesla for operating a racially segregated workplace. From Theo Waite. Tesla was sued by the state of California on Wednesday over allegations that it discriminated against black employees and operated a racially segregated workplace within its Bay Area flagship factory. California's Department of Fair Employment and Housing said it filed a lawsuit in the Alameda County Superior Court on Wednesday, but the suit, which Tesla called misguided, has not yet been made public. The suit includes allegations that Tesla managers, workers, and supervisors at its Fremont, California factory used racial slurs, including the N-word, monkey toes. That one probably won't fly on YouTube. That one probably won't fly on YouTube, according to a copy of the suit obtained by the Post. Black employees also allegedly saw racist graffiti throughout the factory, including phrases like, dude, I probably can't say any of this on YouTube. I'm going to tell you that right off the bat. If this was DLive exclusive, that'd be one thing, but I probably can't say anything like this. Managers at the Elon Musk-owned automaker either participated or overlooked the racial abuse and gave black workers more grueling work while passing them over for promotions, the suit claims. Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb and say none of this happened. This doesn't seem... Like, and I understand that the particular clientele of Tesla is not going to be the people who are making Teslas. I understand that, but this just doesn't seem like what would be going on in a factory that makes this yuppie product. And I could be wrong. I mean, I wasn't there. But this just seems like a little bit of a stretch. Really does. I don't know. I don't know, dude. If it happened, it happened. And absolutely go through with the way that you do laws in your state. I think a lawsuit against Tesla, the company itself, is probably a bit extensive, but lawsuits directly against the managers or other employees possibly could work here. But I mean, this doesn't seem like something that would happen in progressive San Francisco. This doesn't seem like something that would happen in a Tesla factory. I don't know how much I believe this one, dude. I really don't. This... Like if you were saying that this was happening in a Texas factory, I might believe that one. But San Francisco? Really? Alright, and the last one. From the Blaze. Democrat burns a Confederate flag in campaign ad, claims that remnants of the Confederacy remain in the South. From Alex Nitzberg. Gary Chambers, a Democrat seeking election to the U.S. Senate, has released a campaign ad in which he burns a Confederate flag and declares that remnants of the Confederacy remain throughout the South. The attacks against black people, our right to vote, and participate in democracy are methodical. Chambers says, our system isn't broken, it's designed to do exactly what it's doing, which is producing measurable inequity, because they can't say inequality anymore. 1 in 13 black Americans are deprived of the right to vote. Well, are they felons? Because that would be the only reason that they would be deprived of the right to vote. 1 in 9 black Americans do not have health insurance. 1 in 3 black children live in poverty. It's time to burn what remains of the Confederacy down. You hear that, John Ossoff? It's time to resign. Beto O'Rourke, get off the campaign trail. Nikki Fried, get off the campaign trail. Because it's time for the Democrats of the Confederacy to be eliminated. You know, against the Republican Party, who was founded to oppose slavery. Let's listen.
They said we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. But here in Louisiana and all over the South, Jim Crow never really left, and the remnants of the Confederacy remain. In 1873, when a black man named PBS Pinchback won a U.S. Senate race, he was never seated. They claimed election fraud. The attacks against black people, our right to vote, and participate in this democracy are methodical. Gerrymandered districts are a byproduct of the Confederacy. Our system is...
Do we need to look at the Maryland map again, or the Illinois map? Gerrymandered districts.
Isn't broken, is designed to do exactly what it's doing, which is producing measurable inequity. 1 in 13 black Americans are deprived of the right to vote. 1 in 9 black Americans do not have health insurance. 1 in 3 black children live in poverty. It's time to burn what remains of the Confederacy down. I do believe the South will rise again, but this time, it'll be on our terms. I'm Gary Chambers, and I'm running for the U.S. Senate, and I approve this message.
Okay, and I mean, this is a nice, shocking attention grabber advertisement. But what are you proposing? What laws do you want to propose? What bills do you want to propose? How do you want to change things? How do you plan to get this through a Senate that's probably going to be opposed against you? How do you plan to... What is your plan to actually do instead of come back and say, I'm going to end racism? Okay, that's fine and well. This is a big part of the problem that the Biden admin is having so many problems right now, too, with their polling numbers, which, by the way, mysteriously, within 24 hours of hitting 39.8% in the polls, a new Reuters Ipsos poll came out, and it was 43% favorable. And, oh, look, we're back above 40%, 40.2%, but we're back above 40%. Oh, I guess those evil Republicans didn't have anything to say about that after all, did they? But this is a part of the problem. The Biden admin literally ran on a platform and a campaign of vote for me, I'm not the other guy. He made some promises. Now, Biden actually made some promises. But there was no plan on how to do it. I mean, there was nothing out there. The Donald did run on a platform of we're going to make America great again, and here's how. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. And he actually had a plan coming out, set out. You know, for the big one, the big campaign promise that he was able to hold up. And I think the big one that was the big boom to the economy was, okay, if you want to have another regulation, then you're going to bring me 2 regulations that you're striking down. Okay, I'm not going to sign any regulation unless you eliminate 2 more to go with it. And they were doing more than that. I think they were averaging like 4 to 6 regulations struck down for every one that they added. I think it was more than that for a while. I think it was like 16 to 1 for a while, but then they backed off of it, and the average was like 3 or 4 to 6 to 1. But Biden, I mean, he didn't have a plan. He was like, oh, I'm going to end student loan debt. How? Well, give me the Senate and I'll take care of your health care. How? I'm going to defeat the virus. Okay, the mainstream media actually played into that one. That was your how. But it took you over a year to do it. I'm going to defeat everything and I'm going to make your life better because that evil orange man did. But you had no platform. You had no explanation. And this was the problem I had with Jorgensen, too. Well, one of numerous problems I had with Jorgensen. Because Jorgensen was up there, I mean, spitting out the things that make... Like, she was speaking to her base. Yes, absolutely. But had no answer. Well, she wasn't the one running the Twitter account either, but had no answer as to how to do this. And all of her sibs came out Hey, wouldn't it be nice if somebody went back out and just brought all our troops home? That's going to be my day one thing. Okay, how? The Congress that's making money off the war effort controls the purse strings, controls the money that it's going to take to deploy these people back at home, which you need to do, and you would know if you had any military experience. It costs money to get all of that equipment back over here. You can't just snap your fingers and say, okay, everybody's home. There are logistics involved. You had no answer to that. And in fact, like I say, the only answer that anybody had to that was, well, by being commander-in-chief. Hey, what are you going to do with all that extra money once I've ended the income tax? Well, I'm going to move to another country because my president has bypassed Congress and become a tyrant, and I don't want to know what she's going to do next. Because once again, there was no plan as to how you're going to end the income tax, working around a Congress that makes billions of dollars collectively per year off of the income tax, and most of it's going into their donors' pockets or back into their pockets, or kickbacks for people who are going to launder it for them. How do you end income tax? When you're sitting here, when you realize that all the people who have to pass off on this in Congress are making their money off of it. You don't. And you know you don't. And it's the same thing with this guy. Racism is still alive in the South. Vote for me. Okay, what are you going to do? What is your plan? You have no plan. You just wanted to come back and burn a Confederate flag on TV. You have no substance. All right, and with that, we're going to head out of here for the day. So, with that, we're going to do live chat. So let's just see how far back we're up off of this one. It's like we're right up to the beginning. So you guys weren't as busy as last Friday, but still very, very much appreciated. Let's see what happened throughout the week here. On Monday, we had Ron Helton, Marie Mamie Golay, Randy Crush Saga, KTZed, Quest Fanning, 80s Kid, Chilaga 1984, Arbolt, Rye 87, who hates us all, thinks that we're chuds and wants us to die because we're not compassionate enough, apparently. On Tuesday, we had Quest Fanning, Marie Mamie Golay, Randy Crush Saga, Ron Helton, Harvey McLeod stopped by and joined us, KTZed, Spartan 0000, Superior 1, Linda Cloud, and Chilaga were here. Wednesday, Marie was top chatter on Wednesday, Quest Fanning, Black Bag, which was a new name, and I didn't seem to think that guy was a detractor. I hope he stuck around. I didn't see his name in the new follows list. Ron Helton, KTZed, Arvolt, Chilaga 1984, Nephilim Ninja Nibiru, and Fedor Rubin, which I actually think that guy might have been a spammer. Yesterday was a little bit of a slow day, but again, very much appreciated. Thank you very much for coming in here and hanging out with us. We had Quest Fanning, Marie Mamie Golay, Ron Helton, KTZed, Arvolt, Harvey McLeod, and Linda Cloud. What's going on today? Let's actually look and see what we've got here. Ron Helton is here this morning. Randy Crush Saga, Ron Helton with the AOC sticker and the Greta sticker. Ron loves that AOC sticker. Sully Blue is here. Good morning. I want to watch that movie at some point. Maybe now that I'm getting ready to launch a second channel doing movie reviews, maybe I'll have Sully Blue sit down and watch Good Morning Vietnam, and he and I can sit down and discuss it afterwards. I know that I think Seawall and I are going to sit down and do Phantom Menace here in the near future, but I've got to get some stuff set up first. Let's see. Randy says, all the people who understand that everything he touches has gone to shit. Sully says, I like the music. Haven't heard this yet, but sounds familiar. Yeah, it's probably from a video game you played at some point, because we are listening to Game Chop's Study Lounge, Video Game Study Lounge, which is lo-fi beats of popular video game songs. Randy says, I always make it about me. Chilaga is here. Good day, Ed Heads. Arbolt is lurking. MK Ulmo in the morning, Ed Heads. Quest Fanning is here. Linda Cloud is here. Good crowd. Good crowd. Lots of people here today. 9 people watching consistently throughout the stream, so either the counter is broken or people have been filing in and out at the exact right number. Randy says they plan to move the trucks by government mandate. Randy says express an extreme solution. How does making them immovable a solution? Randy says, in a world where words are violence, this bitch is actually calling her violence. Marie, maybe Golay, says, only less than 28% of teens have the driver's license. Most don't want one. Sully says, my job in Florida bumped our pay to keep Class A guys from... I'm thinking he's saying leaving, not learning. They're paying drivers here now. I debated going back out on the road just because I know it pays more than what I'm making now. But then I would lose out on contemporary. Hurry, Old Small Man from Princess Bride. Haven't seen that movie. Inconceivable. KTZed is here. Good morning, friends. 80s Kid is here. The truckers should have named their accounts BLM or Antifa. There you go. KTZed is out with another meeting, but wanted to check in. Thank you. Which also makes it easier to do Surprise Stupidity when Katie has meetings during the show. Because I know that she watches the show, but I can go back and slip something in that showed up while she was in a meeting. Sedemacanthus Bear is here. Says good morning. Ed and Chad, Marie Maybe Golay, Chilaga, Katie, and 80s Kid. Welcome, Sedemacanthus Bear. Quest Fanning says I have crack. It's on my behind. Marie says not enough physical challenges. Yep. Sedemacanthus Bear says, did their pain doctor require a GMO jab to get those opiates? So they had to turn to LeBron for whack crack. Nice. 80s. Well, if you can give crack pipes to Hunter, why not give them to everyone else as well? Wes Fanning offers a possible solution. How about we not handle the pandemic and just let the hypochondriacs hide? Maybe. Sedemacanthus Bear says the artist formerly known as Hunter should have had his own line of crack pipes. Note to self, start company making Freedom Hunter pipes. Everybody check out Sedemacanthus Bear's new company coming up here. Questfang says, as long as they're a black girl like my mammy growing up. Randy says, incredibly dark-skinned and female identifying. 80s Kid says, where's Penn and Teller? I can't see a teleprompter. Let's see, what else do we have? Randy's given us us and them. We elect constitutionalists that often don't go with the party line, and they elect activists. Quest says, black trans men need not apply. There you go. Sedemacanthus Bear says, Mitch is a bitch. Randy says, the GOP is a Trump cult, other than all the GOP detractors, while the Dems vote 100% party line for 4 years. Fair point. Randy says, they'll be playing that Handmaid's Tale LARP again. The sad truth is, in a post-apocalyptic world, where most women can't have kids, the government should actually force women who can to have children. Not so cool with the general slavery aspect of the story, though. Yeah. And I haven't seen the series, and I haven't read the book, so... maybe I'll do that after I read Starship Troopers. Which first I have to finish off Sum of All Fears, which is actually, I'm getting into that more and more. So one of the problems with the Clancy book is they start out really, really, really slow. So it's like, okay, a couple pages here, do I want to do this? A couple pages here. But like once you get to the 40% mark, you're like, ooh, I got to finish up my work quick so I can go back and read more of this. So I'm getting to that point in the book where I just want to keep going and figuring out what's going on with that. 80s Kid says, weapons of mass distraction. Randy says, the irony is the vax mandates have a higher likelihood of bringing about a Handmaid's Tale situation than a conservative judge. So I have a question, and I want to see if I can word this right so I don't get booted from YouTube for vaccine misinformation. But I've heard earlier this morning when I was looking through, getting ready to go start doing the rest of the show notes, there was talk about the fact that the jab causes the HIV, or that's showing signs that it's causing the HIV. I have not been able to corroborate this because I've only learned about this a couple hours ago, and I've been sitting here for the last hour and 50 minutes. So I don't know if this is true or not, but it seems to be something that's going around social media. And I do want to verify that before I say anything off this, but I mean, if it's true, that's wow. But of course, for Susan's sake, all the vaccines are very safe and effective, and everybody should drop what they're doing and run out and get them, and 25 boosters to go with them because they're so safe and effective. They're so safe and effective, Pfizer is paying to make sure that you get your vaccine. Set up a Candace Bear says the clip will never make the MSM where the voters are, methinks, or will be fact checked by misinformation by the ADL. McConnell is here asking to show fish. Someone told me this is where I can get some show fish. 1 pound fish. Yep, there's Senator Candace with that too. I paid a lot of money for that intel. 6, 4, 5, or 1 pound each. Very, very, very good. Very, very cheap. Quest says, I do homeschool. Now they should give me back my fucking money. My budget should include the money that's stolen for shitty public schools. Yep. Son of a Candace Bear says communist unions are the worst unions. Oh wait, they're all communist. Well, like I say, if they do want to, if your workers want to get together and do something, and make a deal and strike a deal and make a contract with their employer, that's the free market at work. It's just when it's corporatized and the union is got their hand basically in the payroll department's back pocket. When it's compelled and your union dues basically come out of your check. I just said basically twice. When your union dues come directly out of your check from your payroll department, that's when I start having a problem with this. But if you're writing a check every month for your union dues and the company has no problem with it and you make a contract, that's the free market at work. Setup Cantus says prices of Cytomex and other related aborted fetal tissue food products is going to skyrocket. Fanning says J. Edgar and I had a fun Twitter exchange with a leftist chud who was upset about the Texas abortion case. Such a sweet person. Randy says, I was asking for half my taxes for public schools back last year when they were running half-time school. Vote for me! I'm gonna vote! Marie says, shouldn't abortions be going down since the number of butt pirates has increased? Nice. Sully says, damn, Kelly really needs some money after blowing all theirs, huh? Setup of Canton says having a Bojangles barbecue and waffles on site at Tesla's Bay Area flagship factory is not segregation. Oof. Oh! Oh, can I read that? Yes, I can. 1 in 3 black children live in poverty, says Randy Crush Saga. I'd be shocked if the other 2 out of that 3 weren't classified as white. Oof! Ooh, that hit you right in the gut. Oh, that's a punch. Marie says, I'm black, gimme! I thought this was going to be a white dude in that video, because I didn't pre-read this article, and I didn't pre-watch the video. I didn't realize it was going to be a black dude in the video. And you have no show feet. No, I will not show feet, but I will assure you that under the desk there, they are bare. No substance. You have no substance, you have no show fish. Jadger's taking attendance. Yes. Be here every morning. No, I can't get here at 7:15 most mornings, especially this week when I got my ass kicked at work. And I've been starting at 7:30 or more, so I can't take attendance. Because I'd be a hypocrite if I did. Sherlock says, yesterday was the first show I missed in a long time. Damn job. Haha. Well, you can catch it back on demand over on YouTube. Linda Cloud is here. Great show. Thank you, Linda Cloud. Marie says, if the South is so racist, then why, after so long, do so many black choose to remain here of free will? That is a good choice. And they do move to the South a lot. Sully says, I would 100% do that when you're ready, sir. Cool, I've got 3 movies stacked up ready to go off of this. Well, technically way more than that, because I do want to do all the Star Wars movies eventually. I think Seawall and I are going to do Phantom Menace when we do it, which I think Seawall is going to be a good one to start with. Because we're not doing cameras and he's got that nice radio voice, so I think he'll be a good one. Plus, he loves the Phantom Menace. Add some of the deep lore to it. I think that'll be a good one. I'm going to have to stop him to keep us from going long. Randy says, oh, I've got some things to say about the final fight scene in Phantom Menace. Yeah, we'll probably talk about that. Sully says, I knew what part of it, the part I remember was from Game Boy Pokemon. Yep. Yeah, they do a lot of that on that playlist. I can post a link to that playlist in here if you want. It'll kick me back to the bottom, but you know what? Fuck it. We'll scroll back up to the top. That's the playlist. Let's see where we're. Marie says, for those who like the movies, like Groundhog Day, the series, Russian Doll with Natasha Lyonne is really good. Stream and Drive, yep. Sully says, Groundhog Day is awesome. Me and my roommate just talked about that the other night. I haven't seen it. Quest says, BLM should just take the L out. We already know they're leftists. Just call themselves BM. Oh. Sully says, I'll have to look into that. Finish the Book of Boba Fett, so I got time now. I will be starting the Book of Boba Fett coming up here, because I waited until it was all out to come back and watch it. Because I don't want to work on Disney's schedule. I want to work on my schedule. Nephilim Ninja says, not HIV, COVID-AIDS. Quest says, how would the jab cause, unless they were using the needle? No, it's a bridge too far. No way, that's happening. No. I don't know. There were a lot of tweets about it this morning in a thread that I read. And I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's even possible. That's the first I'd heard of the rumor, so. Life the Max is here, says Happy Friday, friends. Set up Campus is out. Got to shower, get stuff done. Marie says, what a tease. Quest says, Seawall has a great radio voice. Chilag just downloaded Russian Doll. Marie says, I'm sick of Northern Whites complaining about how racist the South is from watching TV. Quest says, fun fact, Seawall took my profile picture for Twitter. He's about 6'4" in boots. I made it look a little short in the pic. Ron says, yes, and there are no more Indian wars here either. And Sully will get last word and says, I saw more racism in Cali than I've seen in Florida. And with that, we are done. We're out of here. Which is good because whether it be allergies or a leftover from the COVID, a little bit of a runny nose here, and it's time to go back and take care of that. But we're going to head out of here first, so let's change the music. No, that's not what I wanted. This is what I wanted. So, with that, we're going to head out of here for the day. And we'll be back here on Monday for more Contemporary. So, come back and join us for that. More headlines, more news, and the stuff that we missed. These last, 6 that we missed over here. So, definitely come back and hang out with us for that. That's going to be a fun time. We'll talk about throwing stuff at the wall, the spaghetti, and everything else that goes along with that to see what sticks. Otherwise, come back and join us on Monday night, 5:30 Central Time, for KTZed Redemption, time might move, or we might be running a short show just to go back and make sure that the happy husband and wife have the time to go back and have some Valentine's reservations. Stay tuned to the Twitter for details on that, and we will see you next time no matter which way we do. So come back and join us again, and until then, I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Take care.